As you know, I am a huge fan of accounting. If I
Yes.
could, I want to get as many people uh, studying accounting as possible. Um, and so we've had conversations before in the past about getting more African American students aware of the wonderful opportunities available in the accounting profession. And as you know, since I typically only get about 1 to 3 African American students per accounting class, I've made an effort to always do more outreach. I go to speak to students at Santa Monica College's Black Legions program to try to, evangelize them to be to study accounting, be accountants. I also started a mentoring program, which you are part of, right?
Yeah.
Several years back, where I
Hmm.
mentor underrepresented minority students. And finally, I organize a big conference each year at Santa Monica College called the Accounting Diversity Conference. We just had our fifth conference. It's the fifth year now, the fifth conference. And the goal of this conference is to encourage and empower more students, especially underrepresented minority students, to consider a career in accounting. But to me, the biggest challenge is to get students to take an accounting class first, right? It's just like trying to
Right.
convince someone to try sushi for the first time, right? A lot of
Right.
people just have a adverse reaction for whatever reason to accounting classes. So most African American students that I speak to, and especially at Black Collegians, they seem just at least they're focused at looking at only at the social science and humanity classes. It never crossed their mind to consider even trying. They're trying to be very polite to me, but they're like, nah, I don't know if I want to touch that accounting class. But I want to mention, right, you and several of my other African American students, you guys have done very well academically, not only in my classes, but also when you guys transferred to the 4-year college level, you guys done very well academically and also professionally, right? Is there anything
Hmm.
you can share with my viewers who self-identify as African American as to why accounting will be a great option for them as well?
I feel like accounting will be a great option for them because the industry itself is just very stable. I mean, the whole point of us going to college is to not only increase our human capital, but to ensure that when we graduate, we have income, we have a good job. It's okay to say that you want to make a lot of money. And for me, that was the case. I wanted to make sure that when I graduated, have a comfortable life and I would be able to help take care of my family and live the life that I desire. And of course, I wanted to set a good example for my younger siblings. But what for me personally, what set me in with accounting is when I took accounting one at SMC with Professor Meyer. And I know this is so repetitive and you've heard me say this so many times, but after taking her class, my whole outlook on the industry changed. I quickly learned that the many opportunities that are available in accounting, public accounting is just one small sector. You can go into the healthcare industry, entertainment, construction, real estate. For instance, I worked as a property accountant at a real estate company. And prior to that, I interned at Kaiser Permanente in their accounting department. I mean, the number of accounting jobs out there is just infinite, and the demand will always be there. I mean, just look at it this way. We've experienced a whole pandemic, but taxes must still be filed and financials still have to be audited. Lastly, because there aren't many African Americans majoring in accounting, there are programs out there specifically designed for us. For example, AICPA hosts an Accounting Scholars Leader workshop every year specifically for minority accounting students, which is, of course, a 2 to 3 day conference, which I actually went to in 2016. And I mean, what was nice for me was that the majority of the students that attended this conference were African Americans from all around the United States. So it was very refreshing to know that there were accounting students out there that, looked like me because I only saw a handful at SMC and even at UC Riverside. Another great organization is the National Association of Black Accountants. NABA currently has student chapters on more than 150 campuses around the country. So this is another great pipeline for us to network with various accounting students and just, know that accounting is for us. Like your name, accounting is for you. It's for us as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the AICPA Accounting Scholars Program. Do you remember that was the program I referred you to
Yes.
that you went to? I believe it was in North Carolina, right? And you had a really
Uh-huh.
wonderful time going there.
Awesome. And yes.
And
And it was all
also,
expense paid.
exactly, right? And speaking about money, right? I know in college sometimes money is people don't like talk about. There's some professors don't like talking about money, but hey, we've been in touch all this time. I really, I'm glad that right you're doing well financially, and you and I had a conversation where when COVID hit, your mom lost her job, if I'm not mistaken, and you're able to
Mhm.
help her, right?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
having money solves, and money doesn't solve all the problems in the world, but having money takes care of a lot of money problems, which do happen, right? To be able to help out your mom and support your other
Hmm.
family members, and also you and I, we talk a lot about financial literacy, right? And to be able to educate your other family members about wealth management. I think you shared with me that you got your sister to invest in the stock market, so she bought some Moderna stock and started making some money, right? These things
Right.
are these things in relation to these are very positive things. I think people need to be aware of. So that's wonderful. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Let's move on to our next question. I know a number of my current students who would like to work, at Anderson or one of the big four accounting firms. Unfortunately, I know it's not easy, right? I mean, you got a job there, but
Right.
it's not easy to get a job at one of these top firms. It's just very competitive.
It
So
is.
what advice do you have for my students in regards to what they should do while they're still in college? Like, could you give maybe, I know there's probably a lot of things they could be doing, but what would be your top three tips for a college student? What can they do right now?
The first tip would be to start recruiting early. Majority of accounting firms typically recruit 1 to 2 years I'm sorry, 1 to 2 years in advance. So it's really important to get your name out there earlier rather than later. I mean, I didn't start participating in recruiting until my senior year of college, which was very, very stressful for me. So I don't want your viewers to make the same mistake I did. If you are already at a 4 year university, start recruiting as soon as possible. If you are a transfer student, either start recruiting during your first year of transfer or sooner. But keep in mind that majority of accounting firms do recruit, as you know, during the fall and spring semesters. Um, my second tip would be to start working on time management. Having great time management skills increases your productivity and it allows more time to focus on your grades. The higher your GPA, the more competitive you are amongst your peers. Just look at it this way. When you become an accountant, which I'm sure the viewers will, because after they see this interview, they will be super motivated. There will be many deadlines, and it will be your responsibility to submit your work on time. So why not start working on improving this skill now? This is especially important for students that have jobs, families, and are a part of any organizations on campus. One thing I did that really helped me, and Professor Liu, you actually introduced me to this as well, was having a planner. And I know that sounds so simple, but just having a planner where you can organize everything really, really goes a long way. I know for me, when I was in college, as soon as I would get the syllabus during the first week of school, I would write down every due date for the entire semester so that I can plan ahead. Lastly, getting involved. Organizations such as the Accounting Society and Beta are are great organizations to join. It's just another way to, network and connect with other accounting students on campus. And as you know, Professor Liu, most accounting firms typically hold workshops through these organizations. So it's another great pipeline to get your name out there.
Well, great. Those are great tips. Last question for today. Most of my guests that I invite to speak on my YouTube channel, they don't come from wealthy families, and or they had to overcome a lot of adversity in life. So I always like to ask them to share how they overcame those obstacles. So I want to ask you the same thing as well. And I want to mention to my viewers that you had to work harder than some of my other guest speakers, because unlike them, you had to support not only yourself, but on top of that, you also had to support your family. So could you share with my viewers 3 tips that help you overcome adversity while you were in college? And I would say when you were in college, you were also working, I believe, most of the time, 40 hours per week, right?
Yeah,
I think you initially had a full-time job. And then when you left that to focus on your studies, I think you even drove Uber. I mean, originally you worked,
I
I think you
did.
were working in marketing, and then you also had to work doing Uber. I mean, all I remember about you, you were a workaholic. So
Yeah,
please, if you could share.
yeah, I definitely did work a lot of odd jobs. But first thing is positive thinking, and this may sound a little cheesy, but I constantly reminded myself that I belong here. As you stated previously, Professor, you typically only get about 1 to 3 African American students in your classes. It can be very, very discouraging when you're the only African American in these classes because you stand out like a sore thumb. But that motivated me even more to want to do better. I knew that I was capable of working just as hard as my peers, so I never let the color of my skin distract me. Secondly, having a support system. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the support of my families, my friends, and you, Professor, constantly reminding me to never give up. I was a commuter student at UC Riverside, and at the time I lived in Inglewood, and each way was about 60 miles for me. And there were days where I wanted to quit, but I always told myself, okay, you started this, now you have to finish this. So I would tell your viewers, just whatever you're going through, you can do it. Don't give up. But having that positive mindset really took me a long way. By being the first college graduate in my family, I feel like I'm playing my part in breaking these generational curses. You don't have to be rich to go to a good college or even start your own business. All you need is a plan, drive, and commitment, and you'll be okay. Lastly, surrounding myself with like minded students. The students that I grew to befriend in college were people that shared the same goals and aspirations that I did. David, for example, who was also part of your mentoring group, he was the first student in your in the group to graduate with an offer from the Big Four. I mean, he was really like a superstar to us, and he still is. It was very inspiring to experience his transition from S&C to UCLA to accounting because we came from the same background. Even now, watching the other mentees blossoming into butterflies is really a beautiful thing to witness. I'm really, really, really proud of everyone.
I did a video with David earlier on my YouTube channel, and for my viewers who hadn't watched that, David was a former student of mine. He came from a single parent family. He worked, I believe, 2 or 3 jobs while taking full-time course load, and he was able to graduate from Santa Monica College and ultimately UCLA 100% debt free. Actually, not debt free. He actually had money in his pocket, and he's now working at Deloitte. I mean, besides David, you and many other of my mentees, as well as former students, it really just brings great joy to my heart to see you guys become successful in school and then now working professionally, right? I'm at a point in my life like this kind of stuff is what excites me and gets me motivated to do the best I can. So, I mean, again, really thrilled that you're doing really well right now at Anderson Tax, that your family is doing well. And I really appreciate you making time today to come do this video with me. And I hope my viewers will listen to your words of wisdom, that they'll take action and they themselves will become successful if they, whatever they do, whether it be accounting or anything else. So, Osha, thank you for coming today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, and take